Okay, besties, name one DDG song. If you're stumped, don't worry, you're not alone. These days, DDG's name rings louder than his music. He's way more famous for his antics, attitude, and the chaos he brought into Halle Bailey's life than any bars he's ever spit. From shady tweets to attention-seeking stunts and rumors that just won't end, DDG has turned his entire life into a headline-generating machine. Is he misunderstood, or is he the textbook definition of a clout-chasing menace?
I'll take clout-chasing menace for 200, Alex.
Today, we'll be doing a psychological deep dive into this hot, stinking mess. But before we get into it, our online concession stand at rrgsnacks.com has a ton of goodies for you to share with all of your loved ones. From Western barbecue bacon jerky, freeze-dried goodies, butter toffee peanuts, and gummy sour peach rings. In 2017, after hearing what he thought was a name drop in Lil Yachty's verse on the song The Race, DDG did what any clout-conscious content creator with a camera and Wi-Fi would do. He filmed a reaction video. But here's the twist. Lil Yachty wasn't talking about him. In fact, according to Hip Hop DX, Yachty later stated plainly that he didn't even know who DDG was at the time.
I don't watch YouTubers, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't know who he was. At the time.
Most would have let it go, taken the L in private and kept it moving. Instead of retreating, he went full throttle, dropping a diss track called Big Boat. And to his credit, it worked. Over 14 million views later, DDG has successfully catapulted himself into the public eye by leaning into controversy that never existed. DDG's approach is textbook performative opportunism. He doesn't need the moment to be real. He just needs it to be loud. His inner world seems to revolve around visibility, validation, and virality. If the situation doesn't exist naturally, he'll create it. If no one's talking about him, he'll make sure they start. And let's be clear, this wasn't just a PR move, it was survival. For someone who transitioned from YouTube prank videos to music, the pressure to be taken seriously in a culture that values street cred and lyrical authenticity is immense. DDG likely knew that without an anchor, without a dramatic origin story, he risked being dismissed as just another influencer turned rapper. He even reached out to Yachty to clarify there was no real issue, sealing it with the kind of post-beef handshake that makes it clear the whole thing was a hustle. But online users labeled it corny, forced, a clear violation of hip-hop's unspoken code that beef should be born from betrayal. And yet, DDG didn't flinch. Because to him, criticism is currency. He doesn't need anyone's approval, he just needs our attention. Whether he's being praised, clowned, or called out, the end result is the same. People are watching. And for someone who seems to equate being seen with being valued, that's all that matters. While some might say it's strategic, others call it sad. Because what does it say about someone who's willing to fake friction to feel relevant and someone who is willing to distort reality just to stay in rotation? It says that deep down, there's a void, a psychological need to be chosen, acknowledged, and remembered, even if the path is paved with false starts and fabricated storylines. On Valentine's Day 2025, when most people were posting love notes and flower arrangements, DDG decided he needed a little bit of attention. Hopping on X, he declared that men only give women flowers when they're cheating, as if every bouquet was a confession in disguise. He didn't stop there. He encouraged women to go through their partner's phones, saying it was the only way to catch them in the act. He ended the message by saying, "Happy Valentine's Day," and claimed he was just looking out for the ladies. But this wasn't protection, this was projection.
Say it louder for the people in the back, bestie.
From a psychological lens, DDG's post wasn't a PSA. It was a mirror, a reflection of his own unresolved guilt, relational dysfunction, and a growing pattern of toxic cynicism disguised as truth-telling. His version of helping women wasn't empowerment. It was emotional sabotage, laced with the kind of bitterness that oozes from someone who either has cheated, been cheated on, or both. Rather than sit with his own role in failed relationships, DDG offloads his inner turmoil onto others, turning every holiday, every public conversation into a stage for his unresolved mess. In his mind, planting seeds of doubt and distrust in others somehow lessens the weight of his own guilt. What's more telling is his choice of timing. Valentine's Day, one of the few days universally dedicated to romance, intimacy, and public affirmation, becomes, in DDG's hands, an opportunity to sow chaos. That's not just bitterness, that's a form of control. It reads as an attempt to destabilize joy in others because it feels inaccessible to him. He's not trying to heal the culture, he's trying to drag it down to match his own emotional baseline.
Bestie, you better read him psychologically. You better, bestie. Hoo-hoo.
In March 2025, a TikToker posted a jaw-dropping story time that peeled back the layers on what went down at her place of employment with the famous rapper and his Disney girlfriend. The transaction was pleasant until he tried to return the jacket later. Though she didn't name names, the details were specific enough for the internet to connect the dots straight to DDG.
Now that I no longer work at my old job, I want to do a story time on a very famous rapper who tried to ruin my career and ruin my life. So we ended up picking him a green Bottega jacket, most beautiful jacket I've ever seen. It was about $6,000. He bought it, he left. My coworker came up to me and was like, "Do you know who that is?" I said, "No." They showed me his Instagram and I ended up following him. He had a lot of followers. I'm like, this is gonna be cool. He's shooting a music video on this. I would love to see that. So he ends up shooting the video. The jacket looked amazing. The video was cool. A week later, I see him walk in with his girlfriend. They wanted to return the jacket. I had to tell them, no, you cannot do that. First reason was it was smelling like cologne. The second reason, it smelled a lot like smoke. The third reason, it was worn. He looked at me and he said, "You cannot prove that." And I pulled out my phone, pulled out the video, and I said, "This you?" He was speechless. He was speechless, and his girlfriend did not like that. She said, "This is extremely unprofessional," just very, very livid.
Eventually, DDG allegedly returned the jacket at a different location. Instead of taking his $6,000 and moving on, the rapper shared the incident with his millions of followers.
When a rapper does a music video, right? They pay a stylist to do what? Go pick up clothes, and then what do? Return it. When these rappers be wearing these clothes, they don't keep them damn clothes, bro. They get them back to the stylist, and then the stylist go take it back. I wasn't gonna make myself keep a jacket that I didn't like.
The TikToker said he posted a photo of the original receipt that included her name, store location, and department.
Took to his social media to post the receipt of this jacket. In that photo, he said my first name, all of that information, and said I was racist and I called him the N-word with a hard R. I did not do this. I had 3 coworkers there, 2 of which were black, my assistant manager, and if I had done this, I would have been immediately fired. I worked a year after that. The store manager ended up apologizing to me for what he put me through.
DDG responded by being defensive, dismissive, and dripping in his usual sarcasm.
Why y'all keep saying doxed? I don't know her name. How can you dox somebody not knowing their name or anything? She said you saw the receipt. Oh, maybe I did. I don't remember. It's 3 years ago, bro. Please, if I'm gonna get sued for that, sue me. I would love to go to court.
But this wasn't just about a jacket anymore. What emerged from this scandal was a glimpse into a deeper character flaw, one that has followed DDG through multiple controversies: the entitlement, the inability to take accountability, the pettiness disguised as clapbacks, the urge to weaponize his platform when things don't go his way. Critics called him a broke-ass ninja, but others saw something more troubling: a grown man still operating with the emotional maturity of someone who can't take no for an answer, someone who can't separate personal ego from public accountability, someone who turns every minor conflict into a power play, leveraging followers, fame, and sympathy to spin the story in his favor.
And a girlfriend who will co-sign his tomfoolery. Don't forget about her now.
And the worst part, that wasn't the first or the last time DDG has turned a minor conflict into a power play to spin a story in his favor. During an April 2025 live stream, DDG took a moment to drop a bombshell. He was living paycheck to paycheck.
The bestie said, "Join the club, Negro."
I have to make money. My bills are high. If I don't work, I'm gonna go broke ASAP. I have multiple homes, multiple cars. I have family. I have a child.
He then added that he needed to make more money because Hallie was trying to make him pay just to see Halo. The comment wasn't just tone deaf, it exposed a deeper issue festering beneath the surface: financial instability wrapped in ego, entitlement, and avoidance of responsibility. DDG's claim wasn't just about money, it was about control. He framed Hallie's alleged request for support as unreasonable, as if being asked to contribute to the well-being of his own child was some kind of betrayal. But this wasn't about child support either. This was about power, about a man feeling like his access to a woman, to a child, and to a lifestyle should be unconditional. But let's go deeper, shall we?
Sure, might as well.
What DDG revealed wasn't just a budgeting problem. It was a psychological pattern. The chronic overspending, the performative wealth, the flex now, figure it out later mindset. It speaks to a need to overcompensate, which is prevalent among those who live their lives online. To be seen as rich, powerful, and relevant, even if the math isn't mathing, is a major sign of insecurity. And DDG isn't alone. Many public figures fall into the trap of living beyond their means to maintain the illusion of success. DDG's live stream peeled back the illusion and showed us what happens when the lifestyle becomes a liability. Instead of cutting costs or taking accountability, he vented to his fans. He projected blame onto the mother of his child. He painted himself as the victim of his own choices. And that's the real issue here. Not the bills, not the cars, not the homes. It's the inability to self-regulate.
You better clock that tea, bestie.
When your identity is wrapped up in an image, financial loss feels like a personal failure. DDG isn't just battling debt, he's battling disillusionment. The man who built his brand on flexing can't fathom scaling back, because to him, that would mean admitting defeat. And when you've positioned yourself as a success story, especially after dating a Disney princess, you can't just quietly downsize. You have to make the world feel sorry for you.
Boo-hoo. Cry me a river, ninja.
At some point, the flex has to end and real life begins. The question is, can DDG handle real life without an audience? Or is the performance the only thing keeping him afloat? Back in 2022, while his then-girlfriend Hallie was catching racist fire for daring to exist as the first Black Little Mermaid, DDG went on the Bootleg Kev podcast. He said he was shocked by the backlash.
I didn't know this was
Neither
a thing.
did I, dude.
I thought this was gone already. I thought Martin Luther King canceled that shit.
And this is the same DDG who allegedly graduated as valedictorian of his high school class.
Make it make sense. What, a class of 3?
His comments went viral. They clowned his education, questioned whether his diploma came from an actual institution, and wondered how someone so deeply embedded in Black culture could be so disconnected from Black reality. But instead of apologizing or reflecting, DDG doubled down in the most DDG way possible by posting a clip of his valedictorian speech as proof of his intelligence. Then came the classic backpedal. In an Instagram comment, he wrote, "Obviously MLK ain't stopped racism. It's called exaggeration, LOL."
No, it's called being a dumbass. That's what it's called.
And he didn't stop there. He pivoted into deflection, saying the real issue was Black people themselves. He said Black folks spend all day attacking each other but never check other races. It was a subtle shift from accountability to blame, also known as an old tactic dressed up in fake deep rhetoric. Now, let's talk psychology for a second. DDG's behavior shows a pattern rooted in cognitive dissonance. On one hand, he benefits from Black culture, slang, fashion, music, and community support. On the other hand, he distances himself from the actual struggle because acknowledging it would mean acknowledging his privilege and his ignorance. And that's not on brand for someone who's built his persona around clout, not consciousness. He performs in proximity to Blackness when it's profitable, but flinches at the realities that come with it. Why educate himself when he can monetize his ignorance and rebrand it as just joking? Why uplift his community when he can blame them for being too negative whenever he's held accountable? In 2023, DDG found himself once again in the middle of a firestorm. It all started when his then-girlfriend Hallie shared a video recounting a frustrating experience at a local nail salon.
I set the appointment for 3:10. I called the lady back and I made sure, I'm gonna get there early. My sister has something right before, so she might be a few minutes late. Is that okay? And she told me, of course, that's okay. I get there and immediately, the lady starts saying, where's your sister? You need to check her in, da 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 da. And I'm like, oh, she's on her way. I told you, like, she was gonna be a few minutes late. How long? How long? Because we have back-to-backs. Mind you, no one is in this place. It's empty. I'm like, okay. She said she's like 9 minutes away. And then she like starts giving me faces like 9 minutes isn't gonna work.
When Chloe arrived, words were exchanged, and eventually both sisters walked out. Then came DDG, cape flapping in the wind, bursting onto Twitter with a since-deleted post accusing the salon of being racist towards black people. He also claimed the salon had kicked Hallie out of their establishment, and DDG encouraged his massive following to leave the business 1-star reviews. Instantly, what was likely an awkward business-customer interaction was reframed as a civil rights violation. In this case, he hijacked Hallie's experience and reframed it through a lens that would center him. The salon owner, who was visibly pregnant, posted an emotional video defending herself.
Later, she called me back and she said, like, unfortunately, they can't be on time, and she wanted to reschedule 30 minutes late, which I said, I'm sorry, we are fully booked today, and we can't take you if you're gonna be 30 minutes late. Then she said, okay. She came 15 minutes late, which is normal, and I said, yes, 10-15 minutes, you can be late. Then we switched her to pedicure, and then I asked, where's your sister, because it was already 20 minutes. And I said, like, unfortunately, it's already long time, so we can't take her because we have next appointment in 40 minutes. At the end of the day, she was late 35 minutes. She said, okay, we are leaving. I said, I'm so sorry, but we can't. Like, we still can continue your service, but not for your sister. Which she said, no need, and she just left. Evening, I am at home, just came from work, and randomly I started to see that on my Yelp page, every second I get 1-star reviews.
The internet called him out immediately. Critics slammed him for trivializing the very real and often life-threatening experiences of racism that black people face every day. What DDG revealed wasn't just poor judgment, it was a deep need to control the narrative, to maintain relevance, and to flex moral authority without accountability. It's a textbook example of emotional immaturity wrapped in social justice cosplay. And when the backlash became too loud to ignore, DDG didn't apologize. Instead, he attempted to shift the energy by launching a nail salon giveaway, offering to pay for 5 women to get their nails done. But the damage had already been done. The deeper issue here isn't just about one tweet or one salon, it's about a pattern.
Y'all take a shot every time she say pattern. I'm already on my 4th one, child. This Don Julio about to make me act a foolio.
So the real question is, when will DDG learn that not every moment requires his mouth, his platform, or his poorly timed performative outrage? And more importantly, can he handle the responsibility that comes with having a voice that actually reaches millions? Every few weeks, like clockwork, he drops a controversy, a baited tweet, or a manufactured scandal designed to do one thing: keep him in the headlines. And while some call it trolling, the deeper truth is that rage baiting is his brand strategy. For those who haven't caught on yet, DDG's behavior isn't random. It's rhythmic. Every 2 to 3 weeks, like a craving he can't suppress, he stirs the pot. Not because he has something to say, but because he needs the online engagement to put coins in his pocketbook. For someone whose entire brand was built on digital relevance, fading into the background is the ultimate death sentence. So instead, he rage baits. He plays with sensitive topics because outrage gets clicks, and clicks feed his sense of self.
So are you trying to say he's a narcissist? It's kind of giving narcissist, bestie. Yeah, you're saying it without saying it, is what I'm saying. And I think it is what you're saying. I'm hearing is what you're saying.
Well, Auntie, we won't diagnose anyone over here on RRG. However, we will say this. Whether you love him, hate him, drag him, or defend him, you're still thinking about him. And in his world, attention equals existence. There's also a layer of emotional immaturity here. DDG seems to lack the internal tools to self-soothe or validate himself privately, so he outsources his worth to strangers online. The highs of virality temporarily fill the void, but they never last. That's why he always needs another moment, another trending topic, another wave of comments to prove he still matters. But as the pranks get lamer and the patterns get more obvious, people are starting to see through the formula. The jokes aren't funny anymore. The shock value has dulled. And instead of staying relevant, he's becoming predictable. And that's the worst fate for someone who thrives on unpredictability. But more drama was brewing. In May 2025, in newly filed court documents, Halle said she was done protecting DDG, and this time she brought receipts. After months of alleged verbal abuse, unsettling behavior, and terrifying encounters, the singer and actress filed a police report and requested full protection from DDG. So what pushed her to finally say enough? It allegedly began in January 2025, months after their official October 2024 breakup. DDG picked up their son, and Halle tried to have a calm discussion about settling a visitation schedule. But instead of a civil conversation, she said he snapped. As she buckled Halo into his car seat in DDG's car, DDG allegedly started screaming, "Get out of my car, bitch!" Then things allegedly took a turn. They started wrestling right there in the car, and DDG allegedly pulled her hair and chipped her tooth. To back it all up, Halle submitted photos of her injuries as part of her restraining order request. But the situation didn't stop there. In March 2025, Halle accused DDG of creeping into her home without her permission and took a photo of her empty bed with the cryptic message, "Now I know what you've been on, LOL."
What in the freaks come out at night is going on here?
Halle said she took it as an accusation that she was sleeping with other people. The idea rattled her, but what came next was even worse. 4 days later, he showed up again. This time, she told him she and Halo were both sick and asked that their son stay home. That's when DDG allegedly exploded and smashed her Ring camera. According to Halle, he also took her cell phone and drove off with it before throwing it out his car window and screaming, "Go get it, bitch!" She filed a police report shortly after and said she had the Ring footage to prove what happened. While all this was happening, DDG was painting himself as the victim online.
I'm not finna sit here and get bullied behind closed doors over my son, and I can't see him.
He posted on X that he had been fighting to see Halo for months, which fueled speculation, confusion, and fan outrage. The final straw came while she vacationed in St. Lucia for Mother's Day 2025 with her sister and baby boy. A peaceful escape, right? Not quite. According to Halle, DDG bombarded her with posts and rumors, claiming she was on the island with singer Brent Faiyaz. Halle calmly shut it down, replying, "Not with any man out here. I wouldn't do that. I have Halo. Please let me enjoy my Mother's Day in peace." Her tone was measured, but her patience was gone. A judge saw enough. Halle was granted a domestic violence restraining order, requiring DDG to stay at least 100 yards away. She's also been granted permission to take Halo with her to Italy, where she'll be filming for the next 2 months. As for DDG, the court says he has to stop posting or streaming about her and their child immediately.
Uh-oh, that'll teach him. That'll teach his little narrow black ass. That's also gonna hurt his pocketbook, because, you know, that baby is the only reason he be streaming anyway. He be trying to get them coins. You might have to get a real job now, DDG.
Some fans aren't surprised by Halle's accusations because to them, the red flags were always there. From messy online outbursts to shady live streams where he throws subliminal shots at Halle, DDG's behavior had already raised eyebrows long before court docs came into play. So for those who've been paying attention, this wasn't a plot twist. It was a pattern.